Welcome back to the show, Breadwinners. You are in for another exciting episode of the Breadwinning Women podcast. You might hear that my voice sounds a little funny today. There are two things that are happening. One is I'm testing a new mic out, or not a new mic, but I'm testing a mic that I already had out that I haven't used in a while. So I'm testing a new mic, and then I also have some weird sore throat because the temperature has literally dropped in Philadelphia from about 75 degrees to 45 degrees. Okay. So I thought we were having a nice fall, and then it immediately went to winter weather. So if I sound a little funny, please excuse me. That is exactly what is going on today. But it won't stop me from delivering this amazing message to you. And today I want to talk about what is holding women back from becoming higher earners in their business and how exactly we can overcome it. So, if you have been listening to the Breadwinning Women podcast for any amount of time, you have definitely heard me mention the statistics that 88% of women business owners never cross the six-figure revenue mark. And I am on a mission to change that. Specifically, right? That means 12% of women owners get to financial sustainability in their business. That means they're at a point where they can pay themselves a salary, they can cover their business expenses, they can pay their taxes, and still have profit left over in the bank. And to be frank about it, right, there's just way too daggone many of us that are starting businesses and growing businesses and have entrepreneurial dreams and boss babe aspirations to have such low statistics of women that are reaching financial sustainability. And of course, that's what the Breadwinning Women podcast is all about, is also helping to change that number and create more awareness amongst women of these statistics and the pathways to financial freedom. So today I want to talk a little bit about mindset and what is the mindset that you are currently having that may be limiting your earning potential? How can you start to shift your mindset so that you are in the place of being able to generate the income that you desire and that you deserve? We need to change that, ladies. And so today I want to give you some specific strategies on how to do that, ways on how to think about things when it comes to your thought process. You've probably heard, the saying that your thoughts basically determine your actions. Your thoughts determine your feelings determine your actions determine your results. And so we got to start in the mind with being able to change your thought process around things so that we can be able to create greater results in your service-based business. So let's go ahead and jump in. What I call these mindset uh, traits is I refer to them as breadwinning behavior. So you will hear me to use that time. You will hear me use that phrase over and over. The idea of adopting a philosophy of having breadwinning behavior in your business. So instead of making decisions that might be keeping you broke, you are adopting a breadwinning behavior, a mindset shift, a breadwinning habit, a way of looking at things. And so I want to share a few breadwinning behaviors. In fact, today I'm going to share 9 breadwinning behaviors. So what it might look like when you're at lack thinking or in a broke sort of thinking, to what it might look like if you are thinking from the place of abundance and being a breadwinner. So let's jump into breadwinning behavior. Number 1 is operating from a place of, instead of asking yourself, what more should I do? Asking yourself, who do I need to be? So instead of saying, what more should I do? This is a big one. I want you to receive this because we are so good about this, ladies, like jumping in, doing all the things, putting on our shero capes. And so instead of asking yourself, what more can you do? I want you to ask yourself, who do I need to be? So ask yourself, where am I not growing? Where am I staying in the same place or letting fear hold you back? I'll just even speak for myself. There was a point where I was really nervous about posting on social media. And particularly, I was a little nervous about posting on Facebook because I had some stupid ex that I was worried about seeing what I was up to, and I didn't want him in my business and knowing what I was doing in my business. Right. And so here I am, like holding myself back from not actually being visible around my business because I had this person attached to me on a specific social media channel, and I'm blocking not only my blessings but the blessings of the people who need me to show up powerfully so that I can help and support them. I'm blocking blessings left and right because I'm worried about some ex person in my life being seeing these posts and knowing what was going on with me. And ultimately I just blocked him, right? Like I'm just like, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I holding my business back from what it can be, what it deserves to be, because of a fear of what somebody else might see or say about it. And so I'm not going to lose money over someone else that wasn't even worthy of my time in the first place. And I would encourage you to do the same if you have any fears around visibility. I know I've talked to people in our community, women in our community, who have felt like, oh, I don't want anyone from my current job, like people who were doing their business on a part-time basis or outside of also working a 9 to 5. I don't want anyone on my corporate job to see the work that I'm doing in my business. We got to let those things go, honestly. Like, unless you have some kind of, crazy NDAs, non-complete, not NDAs, but if you have some kind of non-complete clause with your business or you're doing something in the same industry, 9 times out of 10, it's not, you have to be mindful of those things if you do have those kind of clauses in place with your corporate job. But outside of that, like, let that go. So what if someone sees you, right? Like, you have to live your life and you have to do the things that are going to get you to where you need to go. And that means really stepping into your zone of genius and showing up as who you need to be, not doing more, not wearing all the hats all the time, but who do you need to be in terms of your leadership and showing up as a leader in your business? Who do you need to be? How can you how can you show up more powerfully as a leader so that you can serve the people that you need to serve? Your breakthrough is not in doing more. It's in doing the right things, but more important, it's about being who you need to be. So if you want to be a multiple 6 or 7 figure business owner, then you have to start operating from that place, stepping into the leadership, making decisions from the place of being that person. I often ask myself, what would millionaire Jamila do? Like, what decisions would she make in this case? Right. And I want to encourage you to use that same questioning of yourself depending on where you are in your business and where you want to go. All right. So that's breadwinning behavior number 1, asking yourself, who do I need to be? Breadwinning behavior number 2 is shifting from the place of lack where you're saying, what do I want, to shifting to a place of abundance where you're saying, what does the business need to grow? Your business, as much as you run it, as much as you make the things happen, as much as you are the one that is leading the charge in your business, at the end of the day, the truth is it's not about you. It's really about your potential customers. It's about the people that you are meant to serve. And so you may not want to get up early in the morning, make sales calls, or get on video in your business. Like, here I am today, not feeling my best. And, I mentioned that I had this crazy sore throat thing going on, but I'm showing up for you because I got to show up for the people that I'm meant to serve in the world, right? And so it's not always about me. And I'm not saying don't take care of yourself. Like, by no means should you take that as the takeaway from what I'm saying here. But I'm saying, like, am I okay enough to do the podcast today? Absolutely, I am. And on a day where I wasn't okay to do it, I didn't do it. But you got to know that the business is not about you, right? And so you have to ask yourself, what does the business need to grow? What has to be done for the business to grow, for the business to move forward? We have to get over ourselves and do what needs to be done for the business to succeed and thrive. At the end of the day, you are the financial steward of the business, and it is not all about you. Okay, so breadwinning behavior number 2 is asking yourself, or shifting from what do I want to breadwinning behavior of what does the business need to grow? Asking yourself, what does the business need to grow? Okay, number 3, shift number 3 in terms of breadwinning behavior, going from one side to the other, lack versus abundance. Asking yourself, how do I figure this out? Moving from asking yourself, how do I figure this out? From asking yourself, who knows how to do this, right? Like, you got to ask yourself, who knows how to do this? I stopped trying to Google and YouTube my way to success, and I started getting mentors and coaches to shortcut my learning curve. We have to invest in our own growth as breadwinning women, and we have to invest in our own development. You want to make sure that you're not over investing in things that are not going to get you a return. I can't tell you how many times that I've heard someone say, oh, this unexpected emergency came up, something you need to get fixed in the house, something you need to get fixed with the car, a family member that needs to borrow money, something shows up from that aspect, and you somehow, some way, figure out the money to make it happen. Well, what if you did that for yourself and the investments that you want to make in your business that will actually get you a return, right? So start thinking about, how can you stretch yourself to find the money for the things that are actually going to give you bigger results in your business and that will allow you to grow. Increasing your knowledge and your ability to take action will help you grow. So making strategic investments in your business is absolutely a good choice. Having a mentor that can show you the way is absolutely a good choice. It really baffles me when I see people that are spending money on things that they feel are emergencies, right? Like, I don't want to be operating from a place where I'm uprooting my life for something that is a quote unquote emergency, which in some cases, it's not actually an emergency, right? But we just have been socially conditioned to believe that these things are emergency. Someone else has a problem going on in their life. It doesn't make it an emergency for you. How would you back out of something that you have committed to doing, something that you want to do for yourself in exchange for helping someone else? Like, you don't get kudos for that. Like, it's important that you also honor the commitments that you want to make with yourself and follow through on the commitments that you want to make with yourself. And I'm not saying don't help a family member or don't do something that would support them. I'm saying that it's also important that you honor the things that you committed to do for yourself first, and then with the overflow that you have, the extra, or you find a way, right? You can get strategic about how you might support somebody else in something they're doing or other investments that they're doing, but you want to make sure that you want to be willing to invest in other people that can support you in getting things done, whether that's coaches or mentors, whether that's team members on your staff. The path of trying to do everything yourself is a long road. It is a long road that will make it extremely difficult in terms of the amount of time that it's going to take you to be able to achieve results. Trust me, I know this because I've tried it. Okay. Like, I know this because I've tried it. I've tried the path of doing everything myself, and it is a long road in business. And I want to help you to shortcut your learning curve and be able to get way more done. Okay. Breadwinning behavior number 3 is shifting from asking yourself, how do I get this all done? To asking yourself, how do I create an A to Z process and teach someone how to do it? Right? I stopped trying to stay up late and work the entire weekend in my business. And I started setting up systems and SOPs, standard operating procedures, that allowed me to be able to build a team of other people who could also get things done in the business and who could also take on responsibility and own roles in the company instead of trying to wear all the hats. So instead of you trying to do everything, the next time that you're going through the process of accomplishing something in your business, let's say it is your process for getting your podcast recorded, I want you to go through the steps of documenting how it gets done. How does the podcast get published? How does the email that's going to promote it get written? What is the marketing that's supposed to go out related to the podcast? You want to have all of that documented in your business so that someone else can be able to take on those things and you're not able to do it. Like, wouldn't it be cool to be able to just show up, record your podcast, and know that there are capable and brilliant people on your team who can grab the ball and run the ball the rest of the way down the court, right? Like, you don't need to have to do every single thing yourself. So I want you to ask yourself, breadwinning behavior is, how do I create an A to Z process and teach someone how to do it? Okay, number 5, breadwinning behavior is moving from asking yourself, will this happen for me, to thinking, this is already happening for me. This is another big one. Like, can we just talk about it for a minute, ladies? Where you might be in a place of feeling like you're seeing other people achieve different levels of success in their life, in their business, and you're saying to yourself, man, will this ever happen to me? I'm putting in the work, I'm doing all the things. Why am I not getting the results that I want to get? But I want you to shift your perspective to thinking like, this is already happening for me. This is my destiny. And I want you to know that, because God would not give you a vision that you are not capable of accomplishing. The goals and dreams that you have on your heart and in your mind were given to you because you are the one. You are the one. You were chosen to be able to execute those dreams and visions. Is it going to be easy all the time to get there? No. Are you going to face some challenge and obstacles along the way? Yes, that is the hero's journey. Think about any good movie, right? A hero that is on their journey, they're going to accomplish some obstacles along the way in order to be able to get to the goal. And so it's for you to be able to advance to the next level of your life and your business. It's not always going to be the gravy train, right? Like, there's going to be times that you're going to have challenges that you're going to face. But I want to encourage you to start believing in yourself, in the vision that you have for yourself, and that dream that was planted inside of you is because you are the one who can execute it. You are the one who can do it. Otherwise, it would have been planted in someone else. Okay. So that breadwinning behavior is practicing the thought that this is already happening for me. It's already happening. It's done. Like, it's not even just already happening. Like, start saying to yourself, like, it's done. This goal is done. It's done. It's done. It's done. Okay. All right. Number 6, breadwinning behavior is shifting from doing what I feel like doing to asking yourself, how can I do what I'm avoiding? Okay. So shifting from doing what you feel like doing to asking yourself, how can I do what I am avoiding? I have experienced this with our clients inside of our programs, where I notice that they are resisting taking action around certain things that they need to do in their business. And it's largely because the action feels uncomfortable, like it's going to stretch them in some way. And when you are getting stretched, that stretchness, that growth feels uncomfortable. But I really want to embed in you, like implant in your mind that growth is actually uncomfortable. Think about it, just something as simple as, having like a little cute pair of heels that used to be your go-to pair of heels. And then one day you put them on and then your foot is too tight. Like for some reason, you've had this growth spurt and your feet have gotten a little bit larger. And now you can't fit into those shoes that you love, those heels that were your go-to pair of heels, right? Like your foot hurts when that happens, right? That's what growth feels like. It feels uncomfortable. It feels edgy. It feels like I don't necessarily want to go through this. I don't want to do this. And because we're trying to avoid the negative emotion, the uncomfortable emotion that is associated with the growth, we will give ourselves permission to micro quit and not do what we're supposed to be doing. And then we start avoiding what we're supposed to be doing. But I want to tell you today that the thing that you are avoiding is exactly where your breakthrough is. It is exactly your next milestone that you need to hit. It is exactly the guiding light for your path and direction and the way that you need to be going. And so I want to encourage you to do the work that you have been avoiding. I want you to look at, and this is actually a practice that we have with our clients, and it's even something that we encourage people to do as a part of the weekly reset routine. If you have not listened to the podcast episode where I talk about the weekly reset routine, we will link to that in the show notes. But a part of the weekly reset routine is you should ask yourself every single week, once a week, when you're planning out your schedule for the week, what is the thing that I am avoiding? What is the work that I'm avoiding that I really need to do in my business? I want you to ask yourself that so that you can start doing those things and be able to get the breakthroughs. The way that I like to think about this is, how on a video game, you need to pass the challenges of the current board that you're on before it will advance you to the next level. So the work that you are avoiding is like that challenge that is happening in the current place of your business. And you have to almost like pass that challenge. You have to pass that little test that is happening, because that test or that challenge is going to give you the skill that you need to survive at the next level. And so until you start doing the work that feels uncomfortable, lean into the things that feel uncomfortable. Until you start doing the work that feels uncomfortable, you're not going to be able to advance to the next level in your business. Okay, so those are signs of your growth opportunities, and I absolutely want to invite you to take them. Do not avoid those growth opportunities. All right, breadwinning behavior number 7 is shifting from asking yourself or saying to yourself, it's too expensive, to saying to yourself, this is an expansion. I can't afford not to. Have you ever said to yourself something that you wanted to invest in or do for yourself, and you felt or said to yourself or even thought like, oh, this is too expensive, or this is not in my budget. I'm not sure that I can avoid this. I'm not sure that I can afford this right now, right? Like I have definitely done that to myself. And what you're doing is you're delaying your desires, you're avoiding your desires. And granted, sometimes there are things that are not in your budget. But what you want to say to yourself is, how can I make it happen, right? Going to the breadwinning behavior that we talked about before, right? If we can find the money for things that are not an expansion in our lives and our businesses, then why can't we create the money for things that are? And I mean, create it by selling your services and do the things that are going to actually generate the money that you need in order to be able to make the investments that you want. So no more operating from a place of lack, right? I get so frustrated with myself whenever I'm holding myself back, and you should too, right? I want you to be operating from a place of abundance and not from a place of lack. And it's really taking that same find the money perspective for something that is going to grow your income, something that needs fixing that you would take for an unexpected expense, right? It's seeing it as an expansion in your growth. It is going to take you to the next level. It is going to give you the skills that you need. It's going to give you the mindset that you need. It's going to give you the confidence that you need. It's going to put you in a place of an abundance that you need to put in. It's going to put you around the people, the like minds that you need to be around, right? You need that expansion in your life. And so instead of thinking to yourself that things are too expensive, I want you to think about things are expansive and they are going to expand you. And sometimes the expansion is even in making the investment. The expansion is deciding to bet on yourself. The expansion is deciding that you always get a return on anything you invest in. The expansion is knowing that you can do it. The expansion is knowing that you're going to show up for yourself. Okay. And so think about, this is an expansion that I can't afford not to invest in, versus thinking that something is expensive. That is breadwinning behavior. Okay, breadwinning behavior number 8 is moving from delaying decisions to taking rapid action. Listen, I'm going to tell you that I can research with the best of them. And let me just tell you, right? I really feel like, and I call this is something that I've coined as productive procrastination. When we are in a place of over analyzing, right? Like we're in analysis paralysis. We're going to think, we're going to research, we're going to over analyze. We tell ourselves that I'm being smart by thinking over this, like delaying your ability to make decisions. It actually hurts you. Like as a breadwinning woman, you want to be in the practice of making quick decisions, of making rapid decisions, of being able to be decisive in what you want, and being able to tap into your intuition and your inner knowing when it comes to deciding the things that you want for yourself and your next best moves to make. Do not adopt the practice of always overthinking, being stuck in analysis paralysis, getting in research mode, over analyzing, intellectualizing. I had a client a couple years ago, this was so funny, where we were working on her goals for the year, and we were talking through, what those goals were going to be. And I was saying to her, okay, for your assignment before our next coaching call, I want you to write down, make sure you have documented all your goals and what we talked about and the expansion on the goals that she was going to write down. So we get back to the next coaching call, right? Like a week later, and I'm like, okay, like, how did you make out? Like, with your goals, did you get everything written down that we discussed? And she was like, you know what, Jamila, I was going to write them down, but I went to Target and they were out of whiteboards. And so I didn't have a whiteboard to write them down on. And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean you didn't have a whiteboard to write it down? Like, what's wrong with a good old fashioned piece of paper, right? Like sometimes as educated women, we will give ourselves intellectual excuses about why we are not making the moves that we need to make by saying something like Target was out of whiteboards, or I'm going to work out again when I get some new gym clothes, or I need some new sneakers, or I don't have the hoodies that I need to work out, right? Like it sounds like an educated, logical answer, when really what you're doing is just productive procrastination and delaying in the decisions that you need to make. And in fact, I believe we have a whole episode of the Breadwinning Women podcast where I talk more in depth about productive procrastination. And if that's something that you've been struggling with, then I want to encourage you to go listen to that episode, and we'll make sure that we link to that in the show notes as well. All right. So I think I said that we were going to cover 9 breadwinning behaviors, but it's actually 8 breadwinning behaviors that you need to adopt. And so I'm going to go through them and just do a recap of the breadwinning behaviors. So number 1 is asking yourself, switching from asking yourself, what more should I do, to asking yourself, who do I need to be? Number 2 is switching from saying, what do I want, to saying, what does the business need to grow? Number 3 is saying, how do I figure this out? And moving from who knows how to do this. So moving from how do I figure this out to moving to who knows how to do this. Number 4 is shifting from asking yourself, how do I get this all done, to how do I create an A to Z process? Excuse me. How do I create an A to Z process and teach someone how to do it? Number 4 is, instead of saying, will this happen for me, asking yourself and saying that this is already happening for me. Number 6 is, instead of saying, I'm going to do what I feel like doing the work that you're avoiding. Number 7, instead of saying it's too expensive, saying that this is an expansion, I can't afford not to. Number 8, instead of delaying decisions and being in productive procrastination, I want to encourage you to take rapid action. All right. So if you got value out of today's episode, I want to encourage you to do a couple things. Number 1, we are working diligently to spread the word about the Breadwinning Women podcast. I'm so thankful that we've gotten over 45,000 listeners to the show. We want to keep growing our audience and spread the word amongst more women business owners and how they can become breadwinners in their business, earning multiple 6 figures and 7 figures in revenue. We want to provide you with the path, the mindset, the tools, and the strategies to be able to do that through this show. So I want to ask you to share this episode with another woman in business who you know would appreciate learning about the show, or simply make a post about the show on Instagram and tag me at Women Breadwinners with your biggest takeaways from today's episode. I would absolutely love to hear them. One other way that you can support the show is by leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to the Breadwinning Women show. It would literally mean the world to me that you leave us a 5-star review. It is a way that, number 1, I'm just going to keep it real here. It keeps me inspired and encouraged around doing the podcast by letting me know that it is adding value for you, that you are listening in, and that you are getting something out of the show. Doing a podcast is extremely rewarding, but it is also a lot of work, and it's a little bit lonely because we're not talking directly to each other like face to face. And so here I am, trying to make sure that I can provide you with quality content that is going to support you in growing your business. And I don't get to hear that real-time feedback. And so the way that you can provide that real-time feedback for me that I would love is if you leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to it. And it's super easy. If you're listening on your phone, you can literally just scroll in your app and hit that 5-star button and leave us a 5-star rating and review for the show. Finally, I'm so excited to say, starting to feature a lot of our guest interviews and probably some other solo episodes of me in the future, like this one, on YouTube. So I have a YouTube channel, which is Jamila H. Payne. That's Jamila HPAYNE. You can find me on YouTube, and you'll be able to binge watch. You can go there right now and be able to binge watch some of our most popular guest episodes of the Breadwinning Women podcast and be able to see the interviews directly, face to face, me interviewing guests on our show. And I'm going to try out doing some solo episodes for our YouTube channel as well. And so if that's something that you would love to see, be able to see my smiling face doing some episodes of the podcast, or even me live streaming some of the recordings of the podcast, then also let me know when you leave the review, hey, Jamila, I love this idea of you doing more episodes of the podcast for YouTube and would love to be able to tune in live. or just hit me up on Instagram, shoot me a DM at Women Breadwinners on Instagram and let me know. All right, so that is our episode for this week. Remember, it's not just about taking in the information, but it's about taking action. So apply what you learn and go out and be the breadwinning woman that you deserve to be. Until next week, bye for now.
Be a breadwinner, you can be a breadwinner. Girl, go and get that, you can achieve that. Be a breadwinner, you can be a breadwinner. Girl, go and get that, you can achieve that. Daily success, daily success. Plan a week ahead, be excellent. Be a breadwinner, you can be a breadwinner. Girl, go achieve your goals. Transform your life, one routine at a time. Daily success, daily success. Go and get yours. You better go get yours. Be a breadwinner, you can be a breadwinner. Girl, go and get that, you can achieve that. Be a breadwinner, you can be a breadwinner. Girl, go and get that, you can achieve